This video is sponsored by Clip Studio Paints. So, you guys are always asking me for tips on how to get started with art as a beginner. Well, of course, if you have no experience in art at all, I would probably send you to some videos that cover the fundamentals of drawing first. But since drawing anime figures is kind of my niche, for today's video, I'm going to give you some beginner tips on one of my frequently asked topics, drawing hair. To keep things focused, we are going to be covering relatively short and straight hairstyles, and I'm going to give some basic anime hairstyle examples while pointing out what you should be paying attention to when tackling any hairstyle. If you really don't know where to start at all when it comes to hair, I want you to start thinking of the head as a 3D sphere. Here, the circle or sphere is going to take the place of the cranium. Now, we're going to represent its three-dimensionality and kind of have it looking like a beach ball. These lines are going to help you with the direction of the hair strands, as hair is fluid and they will follow the shape of the head. You can use any point on the sphere surface to start drawing your radiating lines, depending on where you want the roots of your hair strands to begin. Or there could be another reason for hair to converge at one point, such as a ponytail. This is going to be our model for today. I know he looks a little weird right now, but that will change soon. Although I am only showing you two angles here, remember that if you can imagine the head as a sphere, you should be able to apply some of these tips to any head angle. We will begin with what I consider the average anime protagonist's hairstyle. It is also an extremely simple hairstyle, as you will see. We are going to originate from the top of the head and follow the spherical guidelines pretty closely. The bangs separate so the eyes are not covered, so it might help to start here with some rough shapes to outline the middle and side fringes before creating a new layer and adding detailed strands. The hairline is not put into much use due to the bangs, but it is important to note that it demarcates the size of the forehead, and you do not want any hair to split and reveal skin above this line. Once we reach the ears, we want the hair to cinch in a little as we approach the neck. This follows the natural transition between our head and our neck. Now I'm going to demonstrate on the angled head. As you can see, I'm placing the origin of the hair roots a little bit closer to the back of the head instead of directly at the very top as from the beach ball demonstration. This is a more common area for hair to radiate from on a short haircut. Note that you'll see much more of the side fringe than the middle fringe, since the side of the face is now our direct view, so the hair over the sideburns will be drawn wider. Also, remember the human skull elongates slightly in the back, so be mindful not to make the back of the head too flat. Let's move on to another hairstyle. I believe this is also a common protagonist's hairstyle, especially in shonens. This hairstyle is admittedly harder to grasp than the previous one, but it still follows the basic origin and radiating guidelines from the top of the head with bangs going in a similar manner as previously. Because this is a shorter haircut, there is going to be several layers of hair visible. This also means the hair strands weigh less and will stick up higher. We want to achieve a fluffier and spikier look. However, it is easy to get carried away and deviate too much from the original head shape, so it is best to draw a second bigger circular guideline like I did. In my opinion, keeping the hair appearing conformed to the shape of the head is the biggest challenge of this style of hair. From the side view, we are following much of the same rules. As long as you can visualize the three-dimensionality of the head, your guidelines don't always have to be pressed flat to the skull, and instead, you can give them a bit of volume just like you would give hair volume. Lastly, it's okay to go a little wild with this hairstyle. Feel free to add a lot of flyaway hairs to emphasize your character's unruly appearance. You could always do this at the end after you've gotten down the more important lines, as to not lose yourself in it. As for the third hairstyle, we're going to be drawing a swept back hair. The hairline is especially important now, as you can see. Notice that the main portion of hair is no longer falling in the direction of gravity. Therefore, we are changing the origin point to a new area, the area where the hair is pulled back from, aka the forehead. Many times, although this might not be the case in real life, a swept back hairstyle is drawn with a sweep towards the left or right side when viewed from the front as a stylistic choice. As we approach the side of the head, both sides will once again become symmetrical. On another note, I've noticed that a lot of anime-style artists get too used to hiding the face under bangs and struggle when given a character whose hair is pulled away from the forehead. Therefore, I hope this will be a useful demonstration for some of you. From the side view, this hairstyle is actually easier to draw. That is because the direction of the sweeping of the hair can be seen more easily. One thing I would point out is the hair at the top of the head will be thicker and longer than the hair at the sides if you want to maintain the look of a short haircut. Adding more volume or poofiness to the hair at the front is also a more fashionable look. By the way, you can start your origin point a little lower than I did, kind of in the center of the forehead, if you want the hair to be more tightly swept back. Lastly, I feel like this is another classic hairstyle in anime, the parted hair. There are various ways to draw a part. I left this for last because it is the most different from the other hairstyles we covered. Instead of one point of origin, we have a line at the split of the hair. Since a middle part is relatively easy to grasp, I will instead demonstrate on the side part. I decided to go with a very voluminous look. Therefore, I am drawing guidelines that arch up. The arches grow smaller as they approach the back of the head because layered and longer hair at the back will weigh it down. Notice how long strands will curl in to frame the face on both sides. That is, unless you want your character to look like they have ironed their hair straight. The angled view goes similarly as the front view. Because the hair is voluminous, don't be afraid for the thicker strands to obstruct the view of the eyes a little. The front of the bangs can also conform less closely with the shape of the head, but remember, the spherical shape of the head should still be followed overall. Finally, I want to briefly give some tips on adding more details after getting down these basic guidelines. If you know my art, the hair I draw is usually quite detailed. My biggest and easiest suggestions is to use a light brush stroke, add a lot of flyaway hairs, and make sure you don't have too many parallel lines, as that could look unnaturally stiff. You don't want to get too lost in adding too many thin lines, however, so make sure you use more weight behind certain areas to emphasize bigger shapes and parts where the hair splits the strongest. I'm going to continue drawing this for the next few seconds. Here are all the hairstyles we drew today together for your reference. If you're wondering about the program I used or my brushes, you can look in the description for some more information. That is all for today's tutorial, and I hope some of these tips will come in handy to you while you are learning. If anything, there are tons of resources out there, and I wish you luck in finding what you need. As for now, thank you for watching the video and keep on drawing!